play or not to play? That is the question. Whether it is saner in the mind to suffer the rains and snows of outrageous weather, or to suit up and take the field, and in doing so, become an athlete of the week. Welcome back to Athletes of the Week for the spring season, third and final of the 2017-18 school year. I am Brian Carpenter, sports editor of the Meriden Record Journal, and I'm like you, man. I am jonesing to get outside. As we film on Tuesday night, the clouds are breaking, sun's coming out a little bit, and hopefully by the time you watch this, we're going to be wearing short sleeves for real outside. In the meantime, there were enough games played over the past week, somehow amidst the snow and the rain and the cold, to give us a full slate of Athletes of the Week, the first batch for the spring season. And we're going to jump right into it, because we got a pretty good group, an interesting group. You never know what you're going to find. And lo and behold, on April 5th, down at Westside Field, we found this guy right here, sophomore Colin Blake, for the Lyman Hall baseball team, making his first varsity start, takes the hill against the rival Titans. And Colin goes 5 innings, gives up two runs and 5 hits. He struck out 7, and man, the Trojans defeat the Titans 11-2. Colin Blake is a winner in his first varsity outing, and man, he's an athlete of the week in his first varsity outing. Colin Blake, Lyman Hall, sophomore right-hander for the Lyman Hall baseball team. We're going to jump over to lacrosse, and here's where Sheehan can toot its horn. They beat the Trojans twice on Monday in the first lacrosse doubleheader between the Wallingford rivals. And the boys' game was 12-6 in favor of Sheehan. And here's a guy who factored in heavily, Mr. Hunter Pirelli. He is a junior. He scored 3 goals in that game. Hunter also had 2 goals in the season opener against Lewis Mills. That gives him 5 on the season for the 2-1 Titans. Hunter, glad to have you aboard as an Athlete of the Week here in week 1 of the spring season. All right, our last boys nominee. This one wasn't easy because we had some players do some good things. We have a team over on the west side of Meriden, Platt, who's off to a great 3-0 start. And I was consulting with Coach Tim Redican. I'm like, Tim, who's doing well on your team over there? You boys are 3-0. Well, the fact is he's got so many kids doing well, it's hard to discern who to pick. So the Platt Panthers, as good as they've been to start the season, they're going to have to wait a little bit. Instead, this week we're going with a guy who's had a tremendous performance at the plate and as well as on the hill for the Cheshire Rams. He is senior left-hander Ben Shadick. Now, Cheshire got off to a 2-0 start with road wins against 2 very, very good programs, Trumbull and Amity. And Ben had a hit and scored 3 runs against Amity. That was an 8-3 win last Thursday. And then he took the hill on Saturday against Trumbull and went 6 scoreless innings, scattered 4 hits. I don't want to cheat you, Ben. You scattered 4 hits, you struck out 6, and you were a 2-zip winner against Trumbull. You are boys Athlete of the Week nominee number 3 here in week 1. All right, I'm going to pick up the pace a little bit. I'm also going to steal a little sip of water because I'll be honest, I'm not in good shape. And this spring, who is yet? Well, I'll tell you who is. These 3 girls we have lined up for our first nominees for the spring season. And we're going to start Cheshire Girls Lacrosse. They are off to a 3-0 start. Again, a team that's usually right there in the mix every year. 3-0 start. They've already scored like 44 goals. And leading the way is this girl, steady, ready, Annie Eddy. The junior, second-team All-SEC player last year, had 6 goals in the season opener against Farmington, then 2 apiece against Shelton and Connard. That gives her 10 on the season, if my math is correct. Annie Eddy, she's a player, and she is an Athlete of the Week nominee here in week 1. All right, we're going to go over to the softball diamond. This girl was an 11th hour entry because her team didn't play its first game until Monday. She is from Maloney, Miss Reagan Maloney. She's a senior. She's a shortstop. She missed all of last year with an injury, which was a big blow for the Spartans because this girl can play. And the season opener on Monday against Conard was proof of that. Maloney wins 3-2, and Reagan Maloney 3 for 4 at the plate. She scored twice, stole 2 bases, drove in 2 runs, also laid in a sacrifice bunt. That's the kind of player she is, and she's also a fantastic shortstop. Look for that girl to have an all-state caliber season this year. She was an all-record journal player back as a sophomore. We missed her last year. So did Coach Scott Oresco and her teammates. She's back. and she is girls nominee number 2 here in week 1. That leaves one final nominee for week 1. Who's it going to be? We're going to cheat the West Side entirely? The baseball team's doing so good and they didn't get a pick? Well, they got a tennis player doing well, and she is Miss Julianne Pellegrino. She is Platt's senior number 1 singles player. She's been number 1 singles for quite a few seasons now. And she's got 2 wins under her belt so far against her Meriden rivals. Now, Platt and Maloney, Platt and Wilcox, they've all played each other. And Julianne, she's 2-0 against her city rivals. And both matches were quite dramatic. They were decided by third set super tiebreakers. Julianne took both of those. One of them was 10-2. The other was 10-3. So, fine start to the season for Miss Pellegrino, Platt's number 1 singles player. And there you have it. Our first slate of nominees here in the spring season for the Athlete of the Week contest. When you see this video about 6 o'clock on Wednesday night, the polls are open. Go on to myrecordjournal.com/sports/athletes, and you can vote in this week's contest. You have from now through Sunday night at midnight. I misspoke. It's Sunday night at midnight. Get your votes in. We'll tabulate them on Monday, and in next week's show, bring you the winner. You know the drill. We've been doing it now for a good full year. And we're glad to be back for the spring season because we're closing in very quickly on the Best of the Bunch Awards Brunch, our 3rd annual. Mr. Jim Calhoun is the guest speaker. And anybody nominated for Athlete of the Week, chosen for All-RJ, Scholar Athlete, Athletes of Distinction, you're going to be invited. Some of you are going to be getting invitations because they're going out this week. At least for the fall and winter athletes. We got a whole series of spring kids coming up. It's going to get warm. The odds are it's going to get warm. I am Brian Carpenter, sports editor of the Meriden Record-Journal. Thank you for joining me for week 1 of the Athletes of the Week. I got to hit the road, boys. Be good.